Hello, everyone. I will give a shout out to anyone who can guess what that song is. I realized I'm stupid and I left the poll on once again. So don't vote in this poll that's up there. I'm deleting that. So today we have one major topic that I want to talk about. But before we talk about that, I am going to be giving you an update on my game because I did a lot of work on it today. So I'm gonna pull it up, and it may have looked like the screen changed. It did kind of. It's just the screen that has this. So hold on, I gotta play the game or I'm gonna lose. So gotta. Oh, and I lost. So let me actually pull this up so I can uh, easily restart it, and it won't disappear when I lose. Here we go. So I have it, and the AI ran off to the side this time. So it got lucky in that last one that the original weights told it to go straight up, and then it ended up killing me. So you're gonna see some differences from the last time that we talked about the game. The difference, the main visual difference is the background is gray, and the bars at the top are there. So what those bars represent, this green one here is the amount of money that you have left, and this red one is the stamina that you have. So if I move around, nothing's happening, but if I sprint, then you can see that it goes down pretty quickly, and then it regenerates. So that's pretty cool. And so you can't infinitely sprint like you could previously. I might extend the amount of time that you can sprint for, but I'm pretty happy with how that's turning out. I'm going to be adding a lot of visual things, so I still have that glitch where if sometimes it'll just get stuck in one direction, but I mean it's easy to get around. You can either hit that direction again or hit any other key that's not involved in movement, and it will fix that. Um, so I'm going to be fleshing this out visually. I've actually added the skin for the enemy in, so you probably saw that at the start. What we're going to be doing during this stream is I'm going to have this set up so it's down in the corner, and we're just going to see if the enemy can come find us. So I'm going to try and find a hiding place. I know the AI went off to the right there. We're going to try and find a nice little cove of boxes. These boxes are all randomly placed, so this looks fine. I just want something that's going to have obstructions in a lot of different directions. So we're kind of in the I guess the is it the epicenter or I don't know. It's one central point in this triangle, and we are trying to make it difficult for the AI to come in from any direction. There are still directions, but it's a little bit harder to just make a 90-degree turn right at me. So what we are testing in this is if the AI can find me and track me down from a long distance. Now, I have been playing around with this all day, and I had a lot of success with it where I would just leave it and the AI would just randomly show up. So what we're going to be doing is that will be down in this corner while we're talking about the other topic for today, which I mentioned a little bit on Facebook, and you might notice from the title, but that topic is urinal chess. So we'll be getting to that in a second, but I just wanted to give you a rundown on what has changed with what's going on. So I skinned out the AI, and I got the speed up to what I want it to be. I don't know if I mentioned that. So you notice that the game is running very fast right now, and the reason for that is so when I originally implemented the AI, it had a setup where it would have to learn a lot of different it would go through an entire cycle of learning every single um, every single tick. So it was establishing one weight every single time there was a frame on the screen, and it would readjust that weight. Um, and the problem with that, although that was already somewhat trying to remedy the game speed problem, the problem with that was that the length of time it takes to adjust a weight is longer than the length of time that I would normally put between two frames, so that it's visually pleasing. There's some smooth motion and whatnot. and it's not annoying to just be walking around as opposed to constantly sprinting. Um, so what I did was I spread out the task of adjusting a weight over the course of I think it's around 50 ticks. So the actual simulation goes, and so each time that there's a frame on the screen, and a frame isn't every time that the character moves. A frame is every time the character moves if I'm physically moving. Like each pixel I move happens each frame. Um, so around 50 frames is how long it takes for the AI to adjust one weight. And what it's doing is it's going into the game, and it's doing a full simulation of the game, and in its own restricted environment, and then it's coming back, and it's applying those decision making skills that it is learning from the weight adjustment to its decisions in the game. Now, at the moment, it is still not learning from its experience in the game. It's only learning from this simulation that I've set up. And so in the future, I hope to implement a situation where it's learning the way that the user is running away, and it is using that to its advantage. But at the moment, it's essentially trying to learn how to move towards the user and avoid boxes. Now, I did play around with the AI having a little bit more vision, because now that speed isn't a problem, it could have larger data inputs, and it still wouldn't be a slower program. But for some reason, I wasn't getting the same results when I added a larger range of vision to the whole. Uh, I guess it wasn't really getting any faster at finding me and going and meeting up with my position when I gave it more vision. I think what was happening was because the vision aspect is very localized, that large area of variables and weights was sort of getting in the way of the compass's weights, which are slightly more important because they tell you the exact direction, or a good direction to start heading in. So I lowered the vision down to 3 by 3 box where it is in the middle, so it can see immediately around itself, and then it has the compass without from on the outside of that. So it's a pretty close vision, but it does know that a box is in front of it if it does run into something. So it can make decisions off of that. Now, I'm just adjusting the simulation environment so that there are more situations where boxes are being run into, so that the AI can possibly learn how to evade those boxes in its path to the user. So we're going to have this running down in the corner while I'm talking, but I just wanted to mention that I have been working on this a lot. I have a lot of visuals coming in, and I've gotten it to a point where I can start implementing the actual gameplay, which is a little bit of what you're seeing here at the top, because I have those bars set up so you have a limited stamina, and you have essentially a health bar, which is the amount of money that you have left. One thing that's interesting, and I hope we get to see it. Oh, there's the AI. So you can see that it eventually found me, and now it has drained my money. And it was sort of dancing around there, which is one thing I was just about to mention, is that when it is deciding what direction to move, sometimes the thing that's changing in that's deciding this deciding factor in the environment is changing back and forth between two things. And what will happen is it will sort of just start spazzing out, which I didn't code in, but I think it's hilarious because I'm trying to get sort of a horror aspect to this game, and it makes it so much like more disturbing to watch the enemy approach you when it's just like flailing its suitcase everywhere. So we're gonna restart this just to keep it going, and I will keep restarting it throughout the and it immediately found me. Now, I don't want that to be misleading to anyone. This is not remembering any previous attempts at the game. So every time that I run this, it restarts the memory and it restarts the entire learning process. Here's a nice little spot I can hide in. So we're going to hide here and we're going to start transitioning over to our main topic. But I just wanted to give a whole rundown on what's happening. And if there's any questions on what you're seeing on the screen, feel free to leave those in the chat. I will be watching the chat over on my left here, and I will be responding to those as I see them. But like I said, it will be down in the corner. So I am switching the screen here, and you can see right here we have the AI in a very small window, but I hope that it still gives the visual that we're looking for. And we're going to start talking about our main topic, which is urinal chess. So I'm going to actually switch my mouse over, so I need to switch some USBs out, but bear with me. Okay, sorry if that was loud on the computer's end. I'm not really sure how to turn the system volume down. I'm sure that's fairly simple. I just haven't looked into it. But today we're talking about urinal chess. So this has an interesting name, and I'm going to write it out while I'm talking here. So this is something that might go by different names if you talk to different people, but it's a social phenomena that I find is very prominent in our society. And it's not something that's just restricted to males. Now, it may be confusing because of the name that I'm giving it is urinal chess, that it would be restricted to a male bathroom environment. This is not necessarily true, but I will explain the situation and why it's got this name, and then we will move on to a more broad idea. So I'm just going to set up sort of a environment. So we're going to have a urinal, and it's got the pipe and the ball part, and then the flushy lever, and then we can probably color that in a little bit. Maybe not. We're just going to leave it like that. And I'm going to undo that and grab this, move it. Okay, so we have one. We're going to copy this guy, and we need 5 of these. So we're going to put one there, one there, one there, and one there. And that should still be on the screen. Yes, it is. Okay, so we have 5 urinals here. And so there's an interesting game that can be played here, because what happens is that people, when they approach a row of urinals, most people don't want to go to one that is next to somebody else. That's kind of common courtesy. If there is an available toilet that is not next to somebody else, then you take that one, because it's just a privacy thing. It's kind of just what people do, unless they're friends and they're trying to be weird, but it happens. So we're going to have our first person, and they will be, I'm not going to draw this in gray. I'm going to draw this in black just to keep things consistent. So we have our little stick person, and they're coming to the bathroom, and so they decide to go all the way down to the end, because that makes sense. If you're coming in from this area over here, you'd want to file all the way down to the end so that it's easier for other people to come in. They don't have to walk past you and whatnot. It's a simple filing into a row. If you had rows of seats or something like that, that would make sense. So we have our first person, and we're actually going to copy this person and just keep using that. So we're going to have a second person come in, and this person's a little bit more mischievous. So they're aware of the urinal chess phenomena, and they want to mess with the next person that's coming in. Now, you'll remember that I said that you don't want to go to a urinal that is next to someone. So if this person were going with the common philosophy of moving as far down, but also staying true to the urinal chess phenomena, they would move to this location right here. And everything would be fine, because a third person could come in and they could move to the fifth urinal right here. And then after that point, if for some reason these people are still going to the bathroom, there would have to be some moving into urinals that are closer to each people and some slight removal of privacy. But we'll assume that if we're at a normal pace of bathroom use, you only have about 3 people at the urinal at a time. But with this arrangement of 5 urinals, we have an interesting formation where if this person is feeling a little bit more mischievous, they can stand here. And the problem with this is that now we have, if we look at the urinals that are next to somebody, this one's next to someone, this one's next to someone, and this one's next to someone. So no open urinals are at least 1 urinal away from the next person that's using them. So if you have an odd arrangement like this, there are a lot of circumstances where you can set it up where, I guess if you had 7, then you could be on the next one down at the end. And so every 3rd urinal is in use. And if that's the case, then, and it's an odd number, you end up having no available space. So I guess I'm not exactly certain on that. So if you had 3 people and this was your environment, then you'd have to go to the last one. So that would be the second one after this person. So that doesn't necessarily hold true, but if we have 5, then we have 1 and 4. If we have 7, which is the next one, we'd have 1, 4, and 7. And then if we had 9, then it would get a little bit more confusing. So I'm not going to make any general statements, but this is the idea, that you can make arrangements of taking urinals, and it will force people to have to come and go to the bathroom next to someone when they show up. So this has interesting implications because it's not just restricted to the urinal environment. So I would stand to claim that this would broaden the spectrum to chairs. If we're entering an auditorium and perhaps you have arrived early at an auditorium, but you have some friends and family that are coming along and you want to save seats for them. Now, there are ways you can do this. If you happen to have a bag with you, you could put that in a seat. And, the AI has seemed to found me. We'll let that play out because it doesn't seem to know how to get around the box. But we'll keep an eye on that. I'm not sure if the money is actually going down. So if you are in an auditorium and you're trying to save seats, let's say we had, I'm just going to draw these kind of tombstone shapes for seats and grab that and just copy it. Let me grab a smaller selection so I'm not overlapping things. And we're going to copy that. We're going to paste it and keep pasting that. So let's say you're in this auditorium and you want to save some seats. It's the same game. People don't necessarily want to sit next to someone that they don't know because they might feel like they're intruding. And a lot of times if you have to sit next to someone, you usually want to ask them if someone is sitting there already, because that is something that happens. So a lot of times people don't want that confrontation, so they will look for an environment of chairs that doesn't have anyone next to them immediately. So if we have our same situation where we have our one person here, and we're going to, let's say you're the only person here. Well, what would be the optimal position to save these 5 seats? I would claim that this would be here. Now, in the original game that we've been playing, we've been saying that you just don't want to have someone next to you. But I would go to claim that this is not necessarily an immediate stop. So if we have a graph of the situation, so this axis is how this axis is how many chairs away you are. So this is 0 and distance in chairs. And then we're going to have another axis up here, and this is the general discomfort with sitting there. So I'm trying to think of a better word for this. It would be the negative likelihood. I'm bad at spelling. Yeah. So this is how this is the unlikeliness that someone will sit there. So we're just gonna go with discomfort. And so obviously, if we have someone that is here, then the person here would not be too comfortable. Someone wouldn't necessarily be comfortable sitting here or here. That is one chair away. So one chair, we're going to say fairly uncomfortable. So we're going to put it up here. And what happens is people are a lot, they're a lot more comfortable sitting with one chair away. So if we have one other chair, we're going to put it way down here. And then if we have a third one, it's going to be way down here. And this slowly goes and approaches 0. And I would go to claim that this would also approach an asymptote in the other direction, a vertical asymptote. So this is somewhat hyperbolic, I guess. And so we can see that there is the discomfort approaches infinity as the distance approaches 0. So people tend to not want to be extremely close to someone in most situations, especially if they don't know that person. So the discomfort approaches infinity, and I would say that this is relatively close to the model that is used for magnets. So I think the model of attraction, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the model of attraction is 1 over r squared, r being the radius or the distance from the epicenter of this. So this is the discomfort. Our function for discomfort is 1 over r squared, where r is measured in chairs. And so if we have a 1 here, the discomfort is a 1. So this person is definitely uncomfortable. But if we have a 2 here, the discomfort is 1/4. And so this person is only a fourth as uncomfortable as the person that would be sitting immediately next to someone. Now, if this person is on the armrest between the chairs, that would be 0.5. So that would be a discomfort level of 4. So they would be 4 times as uncomfortable here than they would be here. And so this whole arrangement is very close to the model of attraction that we see in our general universe, which I felt was probable model for the actual feeling of discomfort. Now, there may be some constant k here that we have to apply, and there might be some extra terms upon here that are factored by some factor gamma, which factors in the special relativity. But assuming that the auditorium isn't accelerating, we don't really need to worry about these ones. So we're going to say that this is the general everyday formula for discomfort. And I think that it's something that can be well applied. So if you have, if you're trying to save seats and you have 2 people, then obviously we know that formation that is the best. We can just put them here and here, or you can flip this into the opposite orientation at 5 and 2, and it will get the same idea. And so what you can do is, if you're trying to save an entire row, what you can do is space people out with 2 seats in between them, and it will cause the most discomfort for everyone involved. Now, if you have an entire row's worth of people with you, then you're not really saving seats for anyone, so it's not a problem. But I think this is a very nice social idea that you can use as you are out and about trying to enter auditoriums. So that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about on that topic, and we will be moving on to the random drawing section. But I want to thank you guys if you've been watching this long, and I hope that you get some use out of this formula we've created today. So I'm going to be taking a quick break to get things set up, and then we'll be moving on to the next section. Seems like the AI is still stuck behind that box, but you can see the kind of whipping back and forth that I was talking about. It's a little muffled by the fact that there's a brown background for the brown suitcase, or the briefcase. Briefcase would make more sense. But I hope you guys like the design of the AI. And also, I meant to mention that if you are interested, I'm going to be needing some beta testers in the future because I am pretty close to at least an alpha. So I'm going to be trying to find a way of packaging that so it's easy for people to download and just play immediately. But we'll see if that's easy. So we're moving into our final topic, or final section of the day, which is the normal random drawing. Now, this is the second random drawing that we will be doing with the new sheet, and I think I did actually cross out the last few words. So let me grab the calculator. I'm not sure why I didn't grab that yet. It's been a while since we've done one of these. I guess I did everything for New Year's, and then we had one after that, and it's been a full month since New Year's. So we're gonna get right into it. We'll grab our random number. We're gonna go 1 through 24. I'm gonna start doing that because it makes a lot more sense. So I'll just go down, and then if there's one that's crossed out, then I'll skip that number in counting, and then everything's shifted up. So we're going 1 through 24. The first number is 15. That number is a car. That's the noun. And we have our second number, which is the verb, at 22. Now, I'm taking the 23rd one on the paper because we had the 18th one crossed out. So the 23rd one is, I believe it's ale. I think that's AIL right there. Can you see that? Let me just make sure that that makes sense as a word. I'm trying to use the stupid trackpad that is not playing nice. So AIL. Not really sure what that. Oh, okay. So it's trouble or afflict someone in mind or body. So I guess we're going with that. So we have a car, we have the verb ail, and we're going to do a third one, which is number 6, and that is eager. So we are trying to see this. I guess it would be an eager car would be ailing someone or something in body and mind. So it says trouble or afflict. Oh, I guess that makes sense. It's the sentence it's used in is exercise is good for whatever ails you. So I guess I probably heard that word before. It didn't really sound familiar when I heard it. when I read it. Sorry. So we are looking for a situation where a car would be described as eager, but also we have to involve ailing in here. So perhaps this car is. We talked about driverless cars in the past, so we could have a driverless car that is super intelligent, and it has been trained in the methods of medical assistance. And so we have our little sensor up here, which is looking for lines on the road. And perhaps there has been an accident where someone is over here laying in the road, and they're not too happy about the accident. They kind of got the short end of it, I guess, but they are definitely ailing from the situation. And then this driverless car has been, as I said, trained in medical assistance, but it is also quite emotional. So that is the human intelligence we're looking for, and it is quite eager to come to the rescue of this civilian who has been involved in this interesting crash. So now it is interesting that if we have this level of intelligence, we shouldn't expect this result to be happening on our roadways, but at the same time, some people may be stubborn for the change to driverless cars and would insist upon using their slower reaction times to get them from point A to point B, resulting in some interesting cause to effect. So if we have our car here, and it is quite eager to come to the rescue, but the problem is we have to question the morality of that, because if the car gets excited about coming to the rescue of a person in need, then we have a problem with the effects of a general or a artificial general intelligence. Now, this is a common problem that is brought up when thinking of the philosophy of such a artificial intelligence, because if we give it a purpose, it will do anything to fulfill that purpose. So one example that I've seen is that someone would, it's not necessarily something I've seen, but it's an example someone's brought up before, is if you were, you wanted to collect stamps and you told a general AI to collect stamps for you, then it would do anything in its power to collect stamps. It would enhance itself to become better at collecting stamps, and over time, it would run out of stamps to collect. And the problem with that is that you would then have to start finding ways of making stamps. Now, it would begin by finding the resources necessary for stamps and organizing that people make more stamps and bring them to you in whatever way possible. And then after that, it would start having to collect other materials that can be converted into the materials for said stamps. And you can imagine the path that it's going down there. So if we have a car that's eager to provide medical assistance to a ailing citizen, then perhaps we might find a circumstance where the cars themselves begin creating the situations where the people are in need of assistance, so that they can assist those people. Because if you only have one purpose in life, and everybody is healthy, and your purpose is to heal people, then you're out of the job. And for something that is programmed to do a certain task, that's not necessarily an option. So An interesting idea to think about, but I think we have a pretty straightforward picture here, and we will be closing off the stream. Now, it wasn't too long today. I only had one topic, and we were talking a little bit about the AI. As I'm closing off, I'm actually going to run around a little bit with the game here and just go see if we can find the AI and see what happens. But like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I will be working on this game in the weeks to come, and giving you a update on Thursday, as well as an update on the stock market. If you haven't voted in the stock market, please go do so. It's very important that you participate. You can see that the AI is a little confused and is up here in the corner. I still think that there might be some problems with the walls in the corners of the environment, but it's something that I will be working on because I want it to be a fair chance for the AI and a fair chance for the player. So thank you guys for watching. I'm signing off, but I am happy with the results of today's stream, and I hope that you can use Urinal Chess in your everyday life. So I will see you Thursday.